Be that. So the Indiana Fever come into here after losing 3 of those.
The Indiana Fever barely survived against the Los Angeles Sparks, and man, this game had everything. From start to finish, it felt like pure chaos. The Fever went into LA and put on one of the wildest performances of the season. It was a back-and-forth roller coaster the whole way. Indiana fired up an insane 80-plus shots compared to the Sparks' 50-something attempts. Yet somehow they only escaped with a 1-point win. And then that ending. Just bizarre. With less than 2 seconds on the clock, we saw 2 fouls get whistled, and even a reset timeout that made the final moments feel like they dragged on forever. Aaliyah Boston looked unstoppable once she shook off her slow start. Absolute masterclass in the paint. Odyssey Sims. Let's just say that's a conversation for a little later. And then there's Kelsey Mitchell, who just couldn't find her rhythm tonight. This was not her game. First off, we gotta talk about the referees, because I swear something was going on. One ref in particular. I don't know if we need to check his Venmo, Cash App, or betting slips, but he was acting like he was on the Sparks payroll. I think his name was something like Agon Abatsi, because it felt like he would do anything to keep the Fever from walking out of LA with that win. Those final 1.9 seconds turned into an eternity. What should have been a clean finish got dragged out for almost 5 minutes. Every time you thought the game was done, boom, he's blowing the whistle again. First, he lets them call a reset timeout. Then suddenly, wait, no, that's a foul. Like, come on. But honestly, the part that had me losing my mind was with just 0.4 seconds left. Kelsey Mitchell steps to the line, and she's smart. She's trying to miss on purpose to bleed the clock. If it goes in, the Sparks could inbound, maybe sneak in a miracle tip-in. So she tries to clank it off. And what does this ref do? He gifts LA another reset timeout. Who in the world gives a reset timeout with less than a second left on the clock? That's not basketball. That's nonsense. Check out this sequence. She lets it fly, the ball clips the rim, and boom, Ray snatches it down. Right there, you see the shot clock go off. And then, only after that, Kelsey Plum is signaling for the timeout. I'm not even sure I can put into words just how insane that whole sequence was, because literally everyone in the arena was losing it. The crowd was mad, the benches were heated, and the refs, well, let's just say they didn't make it better. But the best part? Caitlin Clark's reaction. When they actually gave out that reset timeout, she just stood there with that, "Are you kidding me?" Look. Total disbelief. And honestly, who could blame her? Nobody in their right mind thought that was the right call.
Think about Caitlin Clark. It does not matter if she is in the game or on the sideline. She's going to be out here giving these refs absolute hell. I mean, from the first quarter all the way to after the game, she was letting the refs know exactly how she felt about some of these calls. This was at the end of the second quarter, and Stephanie White had to come over and go, Caitlin, what the hell are you doing? Go to the locker room, all right? And then this is at the very end of the game. There's like 2 seconds left. There's a foul called. Caitlin's going, what? You can't call that. That's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? We're going to lose Caitlin here for a second, but then you're going to find her. And look at Caitlin here. She's going to pop back in the screen. And she is absolutely losing her mind. Look at that. She literally put her hand on her head and went, I'm losing my mind. How do you make that call? I also love the flip of the switch. She went right back into coach mode and said, don't foul, don't foul, don't foul. And then at the very end, the Fever have won the game. The game is over. She had to go back up to the ref and give him a piece of her mind. And then Aaliyah Boston comes in and goes, Caitlin, get the hell out of here. We won the game. Just clap it up and be happy we won.
Look at this. So they inbound the ball, and right away it gets chaotic. Rickea Jackson takes it, swings it over to Kelsey, and she fumbles it. Ball's loose, and that's when AB steps up, snatches it, secures it, and basically saves the game for the Fever. Absolute clutch. And then after the buzzer, Caitlin Clark wasn't just walking off quietly. Nope. She marched right out onto the court and made sure that referee heard her. You could tell she was fired up, giving him a piece of her mind, letting him know exactly how wild those last calls were. Now, let's talk about AB, because wow. At first, it was rough. She came out ice cold in that opening quarter, and honestly, the whole game looked like a rock fight. Brick after brick on both sides. Just to put it in perspective, Indiana only managed 13 points in the third quarter, and the Sparks weren't much better with 11. It was flat-out ugly basketball. But then Aaliyah Boston flipped the switch. She went straight to work and completely changed the game's energy. By the end of the night, she had stuffed the stat sheet. 22 points, 11 boards for assists, and 6 steals, which by the way is a career high. And of course, she sealed it all off with that massive game-saving rebound. Here's the crazy part. She actually became the first player in league history to put up 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 steals in a single game without even stepping to the free throw line once. That's insane. But man, Kelsey Mitchell's whistle last night was flat-out terrible. She was driving hard to the basket over and over, just barreling through defenders the way she always does. And somehow she couldn't buy a call. Not one. It just wasn't her night. From deep, she couldn't get it going either. And you could just tell this was the kind of game where nothing was falling. But hey, everybody's allowed a bad game once in a while. Honestly, given the insane stretch she's been on, she was kind of due for one. What really stood out, though, was the reaction from Sid Carlson. She jumped on Twitter and said something along the lines of, "At some point in this league's history, Kelsey Mitchell has to start getting the same whistle other stars get. The way she gets assaulted is crazy. I've even thought about having my sister pursue charges." And I think her sister might actually be a lawyer, which made it even funnier. Now, here's the thing about Sid. She's universally loved. Everybody in the league knows her. She's usually the comic relief, always cracking jokes and keeping things light. So, when she's the one calling out the refs, you know it's bad. There was some humor in her words, sure, but there was also a real seriousness underneath. She's lived it now. She's seeing firsthand how badly the Fever get officiated. And to put the cherry on top, the whistle was so one-sided that Lexi Hull even got hit with a tech. That tells you everything you need to know about how rough it was out there for Kelsey. And let's talk about this. Lexi Hull. This was her first tech of the season. First one. And of course, the internet wasted no time with it. There's actually somebody on Twitter who keeps a running Team Tech trophy case. And you better believe Lexi got added right in there last night. Now she's officially sitting alongside Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and of course, the undisputed queen of the tech committee herself, Coach Steph White. Honestly, that lineup alone could be its own Hall of Fame. Now, Odyssey Sims, she was driving me up the wall at times. It felt like every single possession she was pulling up. She was shooting like the ball had her name on it. But here's the thing, the shots that did fall, those floaters, absolute money. She ended up chucking up 20 shots on the night, but she still walked away with 21 points, 6 boards, 3 dimes, and a steal. So yeah, she made the volume count. And you've got to respect that. But what really stood out came after the game. Odyssey hasn't been with the Fever very long, yet when she got in front of the mic, her post-game interview hit different. It was raw, it was emotional, and honestly, it was touching. You could feel how much this moment meant to her. And it showed that even in a short time, she's already connecting with this team and this fan base.
That you can't let slip away. You never know what tomorrow brings. You never know. You be on the team one day, go the next day. So just being able to come in and just stay ready, have my energy flow to my teammates, and just be positive. Like I said, I'm with a good group. Like from the coaching staff to the ownership to my teammates, like everybody is so genuine. Everybody pours into each other more than I've ever seen on any other team I've ever been on. And that speaks volumes, like, for situations like this. It's not really about, oh, I want to shoot the last shot. Oh, we got to get the ball here. It's about making plays, like Coach told us earlier.
This was not the kind of game where you give away development minutes. Not at all. This was a must-win. Just like the last one, the Fever needed this to keep their playoff hopes solid, and now they're basically clinched. But because it was also do or die for the Sparks, you knew LA was going to come out swinging with everything they had. And the scouting? Oh, the Sparks did their homework. They locked Kelsey Mitchell down. She finished with only 12 points, all of them in the first half. Not a single bucket in the second. You can tell they studied that Lynx game film and built a plan to frustrate her, bait her, and knock her out of rhythm. Lexi Hull chipped in 5 points, but as always, her impact was bigger on the defensive end. She grabbed 5 rebounds, handed out 4 assists, and added 2 steals and 2 blocks. Still, the Fever just could not buy a 3-pointer for most of the game. At one point, their percentage from deep was stuck in the teens. They ended up at 22%, and that was only because Lexi knocked down a late 3. Field goal shooting wasn't much better, just 40% overall, but somehow Indiana still pulled it off. The Sparks actually shot better at 48% from the floor and 32% from 3. What doomed them? Turnovers. 22 of them. And the Fever made them pay, scoring 23 points off those mistakes while absolutely crashing the glass. Aaliyah Boston in particular feasted on second chances, which turned out to be the difference in such a tight finish. That said, Indiana's free throws were brutal, just 5 for 10, a miserable 50%. If their threes had fallen anywhere near their usual clip, this would have been a blowout. And yes, you could feel the absence of Sophie Cunningham. Fresh off surgery, she was sidelined and watching from home, live tweeting her stress. Is it always this stressful being a fan? I can't take it. Someone pour me a drink. You could tell the Fever missed her spacing and those big outside shots. But here's the thing, the Fever are pretty incredible. They've battled through everything this season. They've been without Caitlin Clark for most of it, yet still kept finding ways to win. Credit to the front office, too, for the hardship signings that kept the roster afloat. This has been the definition of a Murphy's Law season. Everything that can go wrong will, but they've fought through it with grit, heart, and resilience. And now the big news. Caitlin Clark is almost back. She's already joined the team for 3 straight shootarounds. My guess? She'll be ready for that September 5th matchup with the Chicago Sky. And when she comes back to a team that has reinvented itself multiple times this year, it's going to be fascinating to see how she meshes in and elevates them. At this point, with everything they've survived, don't be surprised if Indiana makes a real push. Finals aren't out of the question, because one thing's clear. This team wants it, and they're not backing down. Clark has once again been ruled out and will not see any minutes on the court against the Valkyries. Game status report for Fever's game tomorrow against the Valkyries now includes Chloe Bibby again. After missing 3 games then being available, but not playing, against Los Angeles, she's questionable with the same left knee injury. Caitlin Clark remains out. The Indiana Fever are entering Sunday's matchup against the Golden State Valkyries on a 2-game winning streak, and even with Caitlin Clark still sidelined with a groin injury, it appears the Fever are postseason bound. Indiana is 21-18 on the year, while Golden State is 19-18 in its inaugural WNBA campaign. Tip-off is set for 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBA TV. Valkyries playing back-to-back games against Mystics Fever. The Golden State Valkyries will kick off back-to-back games this weekend by playing the Washington Mystics on Saturday at Valhalla. It'll be the 4th and final time the two teams meet this season, and the Valkyries will have the chance to sweep the season series against the Mystics. Golden State has won the 3 previous matchups. The games were close, however, with the previous scorelines being 88-83, 68-67, and 76-74. Not only will Saturday be the first of 2 weekend games, it's the beginning of a 5-game home stretch for the Valkyries. For their second game on Sunday, they'll take on the Indiana Fever. Golden State came away with the wins in both their previous games against the Fever, 80-61 and 88-77.